is our theme music.
Yes. All right, I feel good.
Yeah, nice job on the dirty work DVD.
I had to dig deep for that. That's a deep cut.
You were like, I know, I have an idea.
Yes, DVDs, so quaint now. Yeah, so you ready? You want to just hit it off, do the tick tick ticks, and start the show, or
Yeah, I'm just getting a few more things. We're gonna have to do a bit of levels, and
leveling?
I'm gonna tweet out a picture to get all the people excited
when they see a picture. I feel like I don't look so good due to my low camera, and also the fact that the camera is low, and also that I got this mic in my face. But you know what? Podcasting isn't the place for vanity.
Yeah, people don't get into podcasting for vanity. That's crazy talk.
I
will say this. You look good, and I got a good photo. So don't worry not.
Sweet.
It's not a photo of you filleting the mic as you are sometimes wanted to do. Did you see that ad that Mike disliked a lot, by the way?
Yeah.
I like that he actually commented on it. I thought that was pretty funny.
About
like,
the girl and the Yeti mic. That was hot.
It's too sexual for my taste.
I must say I enjoy my mic all the more now.
Oh God! All right, this is a family show on a family site. It's Twitch.
Oh, is it? Is Twitch a family site?
It's for families. Man, what the? Oh, I see what happened. All right. You know, nothing's going right for me right now. I thought I saved a PNG file somewhere, and apparently that didn't work.
Well, we'll get started in a second here. If those of you in the chat room want to talk, Bo's busy, so just send a message. Say hello. I'll say hello back. Probably be lag because that's how Twitch works, but whatever.
So
hello, chat room.
The problem with saving things to your desktop is that, like, they get lost.
It's true.
I swear I saved something here. The computer swears it's here, and yet it's nowhere to be found.
Just right-click on your desktop and say sort.
Yeah, I got it. I found it. It's
You're welcome.
It was hiding in a hidey hole. Much like a Mr. Well, never mind. Let's not talk about Saddam Hussein. He was in a hidey hole.
It's true.
They found him. They found that guy.
So was George Bluth, Senior.
Yeah, I do like Arrested Development a lot. All right, so now I got it right, and now we can tweet this thing out. Are you ready for this, dude?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Podcasting gold right here. We're not actually recording it, but live streaming gold right here.
Do 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 do. Bow, chicka, bow, bow.
There you go. Now you can retweet it. I will retweet it as well.
What is Twitter telling me? Good work.
Okay.
That's not a bad photo. I will retweet it.
See, it wasn't a bad photo. I like how we're going to talk about video games, and we've got like. I'm not confident about our agenda, but I still love us for.
I'm confident.
Yep. All right. Then let us do this thing. Okay. So I just need a sound test check from you. Say "blatty blatty blue."
Check. 1, 2, 3. Check, homie. Check.
All right. So we got some checks there that worked out. Now let's try this check. Oh wait. Let's try this check. Snake. 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 All right. That worked out real well. So we're all good, right?
We're good.
Everyone's talking okay? All right, good. The talking is good. I guess all that's left is to press go. You ready to go?
Hit me with, wait a sec. Let me just think what I want to say here.
50 minutes it took us today to get started.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's partly due to my... Okay.
No sorry's needed. Just funny. All right.
Just yeah, I know. We're the worst. Okay, so yeah. Yes. That's right. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm good. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Exclamation Mark podcast, episode number 21. We are now old enough to drink. With me, as always, I am Crofton Steers, the Batman to my Robin, Bo Schwartz. Bo, how are you?
Hey guys, are we going to do a podcast? Can I help? Tell me what I can do. I'd love to really help out. Hi everyone.
Wait, that's not... I gave you Batman.
Oh, you gave me Batman.
You could have said, I am the knight.
There you go, you dumb little sidekick. That's my impression of how shitty and losery you sound. You need more training.
I threw you for a loop there. I really should have given you the shittier guy.
I'm sorry, dude. I totally thought you were throwing me under the Batmobile, so to speak.
It was really funny because I'm one of 3 brothers. I'm the eldest, and my mom would dress us up for Halloween, and there's this funny Halloween costume of me as Superman, my middle brother is Batman, and then the little brother is Robin. And I'm always like, oh man, poor little brother really got screwed.
You got the loser costume.
Yeah, Batman's cool, Superman is powerful, and then there's Robin.
Is that how the conversation would go? Would you be like, geez, little bro, I'm sorry you got the loser costume. Maybe someday you'll be a big... Oh, no, that... Well...
You'll never be the
Why
biggest.
did I bring this up? How's your candy? Is the candy good? All right.
I know. It was always awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always got the shittiest end of everything. But you're the third kid. That's what you get. Luckily, that's not what you're going to get listening to this podcast. You're going to get grade A material. We're going to be talking all sorts of gaming news this week. And also, I just wanted to take a moment before we got into things to talk to Bo a little bit about his latest endeavor, because he's been all over the interwebs lately. Bo, how does it feel to be a celebrity podcaster?
Well, I think it's just kind of like a confluence of a bunch of great events that have happened. I am not a celebrity podcaster. But
when do you become a celebrity podcaster? Because I looked at the Canadian iTunes charts today, and at one point, a podcast that you were co-hosting. So maybe this one.
All right. Well, we talked about this last week. I was excited that I announced I was doing a Heroes of the Storm podcast called Core. Right. Super stoked about that. I do that podcast with a legit celebrity podcaster who goes by the name of Scott Johnson. So the fact that anyone's listening has to do with his pedigree. And my job is just to make sure that I do it justice, I suppose, or provide.
Don't
some good
screw
content.
up.
Yeah, don't screw up. Be cool.
But to be honest, Bo, that's your job here too.
But it is exciting having started 2 podcasts, and have them start at God knows 600,000th on whatever list of podcasts in iTunes.
From unranked.
Yeah, unranked, to actually have something that shows up in the Canadian iTunes store as high as number 2 last night. And yes, I was refreshing it like every hour.
refresh. Is it uncouth to add my own review? This podcast is
I didn't
best
even
ever.
think of doing that. No, we didn't have to do that. So on Good, Bad, or Bullshit, we have a review. It's from my mom. I don't think we have a review yet on EXM, but we did have some.
Give us a review, people.
I saw there were 3 on the US store. I can see that, and there was 1 on the Canadian store. And anyways, not to go on too long about it, but yes, we did our first show. I think we got some really good feedback. Someone logged in and looked for me in Heroes of the Storm just to tell me that they thought the podcast was good and that they were from the Netherlands, and they never.
Netherlands.
Yeah, it wasn't a friend. Like I don't even know how he must have found it, maybe on Hot Slogs or something. I'm guessing, but that was cool. That was really nice, and some positive vibes on Twitter and stuff. So far so good. People enjoyed the first show, so that's pretty big. And in an effort to promote the show, John Jagger and I were on Current Geek last Friday, which was also kind of a little dream come true, even though they made fun of me for saying that, but.
Yeah,
I've been listening since episode 1, and I love listening to that show. And it's like you listen to things and you're like, there's no way I'll ever be on a thing, like a legit thing. I have to make my own things. Except, you know what we do is legit, and I didn't mean to be disparaging, but
No, I understand. It's like you listen, something inspires you. You get into be it podcasting, be it video, be it whatever, for certain reasons, and you have your heroes in any medium, and to be able to work with one of them, no matter what it is awesome. So I mean, I think that's really cool. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
So that's all been freaking amazing, and it's not over yet. I'm teaching a class on podcasting. I don't know why. I know how to do it, but like we've covered the legitimacy issue with my show started at 600,000. And somebody wants to interview me on the radio about this course, so first of all, I'm a podcaster, so I look at radio with a tiny bit of disdain, like, ugh, radio, podcasting's where it's at. But at the same time, I know that radio's really a thing, and lots of people listen to it, and I'm just being an elitist jerk, and that a lot of people will look at that and say, like, oh, you do a podcast? I don't know what that is. Oh, you're on the radio? Wow! Like, there's a certain legitimacy to radio, I suppose. So it's exciting. I think I was just, again, a jerk there, but...
No, it's good. It's cool. And I think, though...
I'm very flattered.
For the course, too, like, teaching podcasting, you've done a lot of podcasting, and now I think it's worthwhile that you share that knowledge. Like, there's a lot of people that teach courses that don't know what the hell they're talking about. I remember that one Simpsons episode where Homer gets a job teaching, I forget, I think it's like he's teaching, like, family relations or something like that. Oh, good
Lord. Of course, that's something he knows nothing about.
But meanwhile, like, all the other courses are like ridiculous courses, and you're teaching something people actually need to know or are interested in knowing about. And honestly, if somebody asked me how to podcast, I would be like, first, ask Bo how to get started, then ask him if he'll do it, and then show up and record.
Oh, you left out the part in the middle where it's like argue and get frustrated with it.
That's the creative process. That's in everything. Anyway, that's cool. So I mean, for those of you who listen to the show who like Bo, you can get him in a lot more places now. Oh God, that sounded horrible. Not just because I'm sick.
You
and
can
my
get
voice
him in
sounds a little raspy.
You can get me in a lot more places. So thanks for giving me the podium a bit to shout out all my crap. But
no, I think it's cool. So now let us move into the wonderful world of video games by looking at the news of the week in a segment.
Oh, wait, what? Sorry. I started dialing the phone, but I realized you weren't finished. I didn't want to be rude.
No, that's okay. Start her up.
All right.
Oh, I can't believe you started her up. You're so rude.
readme.txt.
Is readme.txt?
Yes, the most cleverly titled news segment on any podcast this side of the Milky Way.
It is cleverly titled in the fact that I enjoy it, and anything that makes me laugh is
I
clever.
know there's a case of nerds out there listening who are like, it's not readme.nfo. It's so lame.
That's a high level of nerd.
Yeah.
Speaking of high levels of nerd, the first thing I want to talk about is The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3.
Which I love.
Witcher 3 in the house. Witcher 3 boys. Woo.
Yeah. If you were listening to this podcast and you took a shot every time that I fangirled on Witcher 3, you would be pretty drunk. Anyway, Witcher 3's expansions, it's going to have 2 expansions. CD Projekt Red has given away a ton of free DLC, but they haven't necessarily had like big DLC packs. And they're using the term expansion, which I think is a throwback in and of itself. You know, it's like to expansion packs and stuff. And it really kind of feels that way with their 2 expansions. The second one, they have said for a long time is going to include a new area. But the first one, they said there's going to be a new storyline. And they've been kind of playing up the details a little close to their chest. But they've released a bunch of it. It's called Hearts of Stone. And it's coming out real soon. And I said earlier this year on the show that I think The Witcher 3 DLC may be my most anticipated game of the fall. I'm not sure that stands because I'm still not done The Witcher 3. But I am excited, and I definitely will be buying it. So it's the game that keeps on giving, Bo.
So you finished Witcher 3, correct? We covered this on the show.
No, incorrect.
So you didn't finish it?
No.
Well, you... Okay. Well, I mean, these things happen. It happened to me with Skyrim, but
but here's the thing, is like, okay, so I finished Batman Arkham Knight, and I told myself like, oh, if I ever play Batman Arkham Knight, I'm going to drop The Witcher, and that's exactly what happened till I was done. And Rocket League, honestly, Rocket League was the biggest offender in drawing me away from The Witcher. But it's also, we talked about investment time a few podcasts back. The idea of you sit down, it takes you a long time to get into a game. Well, The Witcher 3, it's so immersive. It's like as soon as you're in, you want to stay in, but it takes a while to get in. And because of that, I feel like I often would be like, oh, I'll play a quick game of Rocket League instead of like sitting down and get immersed in The Witcher 3. Yeah. There was never a good time to play The Witcher 3 for me. Yeah. And I was near the end too. Like I'm near the end of the story, but there's still a ton of extra shit to do, and I want to do all of it because it's all so high quality. And now this DLC pack, not only is it going to have a very high quality story in the vein of the Bloody Baron storyline in the Witcher 3, which is a highly regarded storyline, they're going to have also a bunch of bonus stuff, like a bunch of extra missions, a bunch of Witcher contracts. Like it's just going to be like, I'm starting to get rid of those icons on my map and stuff, but they're all going to pop back up. And I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm having one little element of reservation, which is that I bought that gamer PC that's in the mail, and I'm biting my nails every day wondering when I'm going to get it. And Witcher 3, you can get like a super graphically pimped out version on PC, but I have it on PS4 already. I totally wouldn't mind buying that game a second time, but putting in the time that I put into the PS4 version, I put hundreds of hours probably into that version. Like, I wish I could just transfer it over to the PC version, but I don't think that's possible.
Man, first world problems. I feel your pain, which is why you don't buy games like that for consoles. But sorry, you shouldn't, but it's totally cool that you did. I'm not trying to be judgy.
I didn't have my computer before, literally could not have run that game.
I know.
And I wanted to play it.
It's a tough decision. I think it's probably fine. There'll be other games in the future. Keep in mind that you probably are still being tempted by Metal Gear Solid 5.
You read my mind.
I think what you need to do with The Witcher is you need to find a Sunday where you don't have any responsibilities, and you can take care of your little one pretty reasonably enough to get into some Witcher. Like, I totally get needing the investment time for a game like that. It's been a while since I've been in a heavily invested game. The Rocket Leagues of the universe, definitely capitalize on. Hey, I've got a free hour. Let me log in for a quick game. So
Yeah, our Heroes is the same, right? It's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever.
yeah.
You can go in, you're immediately through it, and then you move on. But yeah, The Witcher 3, you really want to sit down and you want to chew on it. And I honestly do have the time, and I could make it, and it may be the game that I get back into because I have another week to wait for that computer. And yeah, as we'll talk about later, I don't have much going on the game front. It's been a little dry. So what else? What else is in the news here, Bo? You got a story for us?
I got a story, but it's not much of one. TwitchCON happened this weekend, so this stream brought to you by Twitch. Live streaming is a thing, and Twitch is at the center of it for the most part. YouTube might also say it is, but I don't think they have the live stream game as locked down as Twitch does, even though YouTube has the video side, I would say, on lock compared to Twitch. Anyways, I'm on a completely irrelevant tangent. There was a convention hosted by Twitch, and so I don't really have much in the way of news. I think if you follow or are into this kind of thing, your favorite streamers went to wherever it was held. This is a great news item. You're really getting your money's worth out of this.
No,
I think it was in San Francisco. I think it was in SF in California.
Yeah, it makes sense. Everything is.
And
what is it though? Is it like,
it's like
just
like if you go to Dragon Con, there's like all kinds of role playing and fantasy related things. So here it was all streamers going to shake hands with the populace for the most part, and Twitch with various promotional items. Like, I'm sure there were gaming companies present. From what I gathered about the convention, which was all on Twitter from the few streamers that I do follow, is that they got to do meet and greets with people and things of that nature. These guys are like mini celebrities in the gaming world.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
My invite must have got lost in the mail. I bet PewDiePie was there. He's the only one I know.
Yeah, I don't know if he was there or not. I know Kriparian is a big YouTube, streamer on the site Twitch. He regularly gets 20,000 viewers or more just watching him play Hearthstone. And so people like that guy, and I know he was there, and there was a lot of people there. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of games that I'm not into. Like,
that's interesting though, because it does touch on what you were talking about before about this new era, like this streaming era. Like, you get these people who get like multi-thousand people viewing their streams, and it gives them it's like a nerd conference or geek conference that allows them to meet the people who are watching their shows. And it that's kind of neat.
And there's some networking opportunities and things of that nature. One of the big things, because on Twitch you get to see who the biggest companies are or biggest games are that get streamed the most. Hearthstone being one of them. So they had the CEO of Twitch and the CEO of Blizzard, Mike Morhaime, play like this exhibition match of Hearthstone. I was boring. I tried to watch it because I think Mike Morheime's a cool guy. But I was like, yeah, I can't watch this. It's just, I don't know. It's a big promotional thing, a lot of networking going on in the streaming business. But
yeah, I guess
the news, the only actual information I have to offer as part of this news item is that it happened this weekend.
Yeah, but it's still, I learned that it existed, and that's a thing. Yeah. I bet a lot of people don't know about TwitchCon, so.
Because we streamed this on Twitch, I'm just like picturing people scratching their heads going like, I guess
what is wrong with these noobs? Hey, look, this is a general purpose podcast about video games.
Yeah, leave us alone.
Can't be expected to know all the cons. Jeez.
All right.
God,
anyways,
these people are bullies.
Moving on. I got another story to add to our new Arimi.txt that I actually found interesting. The story about behind the Framerate Police. And it's a long article, but so it was on Steamed, which I think is a Kotaku subsection for Steam-related articles. But basically, there's just curator groups on Steam. So there was a vigilante mob group called the Framerate Police that would go around and identify games as being capped at 30 frames per second. So, games that otherwise shouldn't be. And so they go, if Total Biscuit, if you like that guy and he likes a game, you go to their game page, you'll see Total Biscuit symbol, and he's like, dude, this game was fun, blah, blah, blah. Well, these guys would go around and be like, guys, this game is 30 frames per second. Like, in this day and age, how can it be 30 frames per second? And so what it started looking like, because of their symbol, is that it was gaining this like seal of disapproval on their on Steam games, where it was like 30 frames per second, and game companies were requesting that they stop, like this is blocked from their site because it doesn't, it's not serving, it's almost like a badge of dishonor, like that the community's having, and like game companies are like, sorry, we don't want to put our foot forward in that way. And so this is the ongoing debate around the Framerate Police, is that like it's like, oh, it's a free speech issue, you gave us curated groups, so we're doing what you said we were supposed to do.
We're curating it by crappy frameware.
There's a term for that, and I'm not thinking of, like, it's just public shaming, I suppose, or something. Like they're publicly shaming companies
it's
they
funny
choose.
because like the frame rate thing is like not that there's like I know people are always pushing boundaries of graphics and animation and stuff, but like I've never really understood the frame rate thing. Like if the game runs smooth enough, like I don't see why the difference between anything over 30, 40, 50, 60, some people who are running these games on like 120 frames, I'm like, really? Is it really that big a difference? Like,
given the choice
can your eyes really process so much?
I think there's probably an argument to be made between 30 and 60. I would err on the side of saying, like, well, we all think 60 is of course better, but their argument has been that we've had the technology for a while, and there's no reason why games cannot be produced now that have that as a baseline standard. And so these folks are upset that companies still get away with releasing 30 frames. Well, capping it at 30 frames per second, yes.
Yeah.
And like it's a personal taste thing. Like at the end of the day, Crofton, you might be like, you know what, 30 frames works for me. These people are, wasting their time, and a lot of people would probably agree. But I don't know.
I guess it's the capping. Like that I could see that being annoying, but
the only reason why they're capping
it
is because of crappiness. Because all the good games are over. You can go 60 frames or higher. Like think of nearly any game, like Skyrim, like Borderlands 2, like all those games can hit frame rates way higher than 30. Like 30 is pretty abysmal. So when a developer says, give me $70, and the game doesn't go over 30 frames, these consumers are saying, that's a ripoff. Your product is poorly made, and that's why you can't run it over 30 frames per second. That's how we know, and consumers deserve to know that.
I guess that's true. For me, I'm pretty sure I'm playing The Witcher 3 on PS4 at 30 frames or whatever. It really is not an issue at all. I never think about how many frames I'm seeing on the screen at once.
I think the argument there is like, yeah, you're running at 30 frames, but you paid $80 for it. It can run higher. It's not. There's no shoddiness to the product you've bought. It's not running at 30 frames because if you ran it higher, it would break. And people have these high-end systems to play high-end games, and then a company's like, they're not like saying, give me $5 for a game that we didn't put a lot of development time into. They're saying like, oh, here's a AAA game, and it's only 30 frames per second.
Yeah,
like I could see. I think it's hard for consumers to tell where value is in a product for $80, and so I don't know if somebody wants to call out somebody for not making a great game, not making a technically sound game. Looking at you, Arkham Knight for PC. Then I think consumers should put them in their place when it's warranted. So, anyways, that's the news item. The Framerate Police are real. Lock your doors.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. They're frame rating everyone out here.
Jeez. All right, what's next in the news? There's another item I see on this list here. You better tell us. What's cracking, Holmes?
The Oculus or VR, and so they've just started announcing that it's probably going to be about $300 when it comes out. And I think, months are going by, man. It's going to come out relatively soon, I think. And I'm excited. But $300 is what they're talking about. And that, honestly, for me, I feel that's a good price. I want it to be not ostentatious in its pricing. Like, I don't want it to be ridiculous. Like $1,000 would be a lot. It would deter a lot of people from buying it. But I want it to be like solid build, good quality, good tech, and all that. And so paying the same price as a video game console for the Oculus Rift I think is good. And I've heard talk that Sony's Morpheus is going to cost very similar price point, which is a big deal because Morpheus is an expansion to the PS4. So you need to have a PS4 to buy it. It's going to be called PlayStation VR. Morpheus was the project name. No. But Oculus will be available on all PCs, essentially, as long as you meet the system specs. And $300, like, I feel like that's a good price.
Yeah, $300 seems reasonable. It's weird in a way because that's close to how much you pay for like a console with all that processing power. But the console market is like, it's a loss leader sort of deal anyways. Like, you're getting more value out of that machine than the ticket price. So I think probably the $300 is reasonable, about the price of a monitor or the price of a smartphone, which kind of has a mini smartphone in it. Yeah, I'm not completely convinced I'll be buying Oculus necessarily. I've heard some good things about Vive, and the big deal for me is that when I buy my next VR headset, I want to try them. Like, and I might even skip this initial phase and see what consumer reviews are like, having bought a DK2, because the screen door effect, like, I have it, and you're saying, Bo, why don't you use it every day? And there are apps and demos out there to try and stuff. But the screen door effect is like, after half an hour of use, it's enough to make it kind of like, ugh, I'm kind of sick of looking at everything in a grid. So I really want to try the product before spending money like $300 on the next item. So I'm kind of hoping that Best Buy will have like try before you buy booths and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. And honestly, like, if Best Buy's to survive, it's going to become more of like a trial warehouse in a way. Like, I bought the Alienware computer online from Dell, but I went to Best Buy to try and take a look at it before, This is an issue that they deal with, but definitely I think for VR, I agree with you. There's going to be multiple options, and I'm going to want to try. I feel like Oculus has been there from the ground, and that's sort of the one that I'm sort of going with. I think, I think that and I'm not saying I'm going to buy the first version. I'm going to need to see something where I'm going to be like, wow, that sounds impressive. That sounds like something I can't get normally, and so I'm looking forward for it, but $300 is not a deterrent for me.
Oh, good. Then I'm looking forward to hearing your VR stories.
Trying my VR. It'll be a change of pace, switcheroo. So iPhone 6S was released, I think, on Monday. Or no, wait, we are Monday.
Last week, wasn't it? Last week?
Yeah, last week sometime. And you
heard it here first on the Exclamation Mark podcast.
Breaking news. So it broke sales records with 13 million sold. And I was actually a little bit surprised because the big new feature for the 6S was really of no interest to me, which is sort of like a pressure touch.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 3 controller had pressure touch, and I always thought that was kind of a useless feature. Never got a ton of use, and really having it on my phone makes even less sense. We'll see, maybe I'm wrong, but let's just say that I have a fingerprint scanner on my iPhone 5S that I never use. So, I mean, I don't see it being the hot new thing, but it seems like there's a giant market every year that comes out for new smartphones. And this was no exception, but I'm not tempted I think I'll be skipping this year.
Yeah, the iPhone thing, it seems prudent to skip generations, partly because, and this is maybe specific to Canada, I think contracts have to be 2 years now. So,
Yeah, mine is this year though. Like, this is the year for me. I could jump on the 6S, and honestly, S's are the kind of refined versions. Yes. So I was tempted, but then at the same point, my 5S is still kicking ass. So why would I change?
Yeah, no, I have a 5S as well, and there's completely nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything runs fine. There's no lag or slows on it. There's no reason to change at all. And these incremental upgrades, I don't know. If you're into that kind of thing, great, go get the new one. But I think if you're on a contract and you kind of care about not blowing money ridiculously, there's not much in the way of value to getting the new one.
Well, not to out him by name, but there is an individual in my work, friend of mine. He's a tech guy. Like, I'm a tech guy. I love tech. Yeah. He went, bought the iPhone 6S, and there is a he was in line at the Apple Store, got a 6S. It is he got a 128 gigabyte version, which
Okay.
I didn't even know they made them that big. Like mine, I thought 632, maybe 64 was cap, but like
Yeah.
it's 128. It's unlocked, so he's not with any provider whatsoever. Like he just went in, gave the money, and they gave him a phone, and he can go with whoever he wants, which is new in Canada. And it cost 1,200 Canadian dollars. And
Oh,
that cut,
he bought it just outright, the device.
yeah, he bought
Wow,
the
he could have
device
bought like
outright.
four VR headset for his whole family.
No, I know. It's funny too. And what's funny in it, I was telling him, I'm like, but you're gonna need a phone plan. Like you're gonna need
Yeah.
a data plan.
Yeah.
And he says yes, but like I get like a reduction in price because I'm bringing my phone. And I'm like, but is it a reduction enough to make up for the $1,200? And it's clearly not. But he wants the freedom of choice to go with whoever he wants, and that's fair enough. He had the money, he chose to spend it on that.
Yeah, that's
But
weird though. I think he might be out of touch on that freedom of choice bit too, because the iPhones in particular can be brought over to other carriers.
yeah,
Like
and
if you're
also I
there's
think
feature phones, like they're locked or whatever, and I think they can be unlocked now. I think also there's some CRTC mandates in Canada saying they have to unlock phones or something. Like you
yeah,
better look
that's
into
right.
that because like actually we're at the point now that you're a dinosaur if you're the kind of person that takes the option to buy the phone outright.
Yeah,
You have way more protections and benefits, at least in Canada. I don't know about the States. As someone taking a contract plan, the only
no,
deal is
I agree. I think
yeah.
you're right. I think you're right about that. The phone being unlocked automatically after a certain
Especially
period of
iPhones.
time.
iPhones are like the easiest to take to another provider because they're proprietary to Apple.
Yeah.
You can't be like this is a Fido Apple phone. Sorry, you can't take it to Rogers. Like that doesn't work.
The reason I brought up the story and the big takeaway for me is that it cost $1,200, and it goes to show you how much money Apple it makes. You know, if it's getting this money from, like Rogers, maybe normally gives them the money, and then we pay back Rogers or whoever. It's just a very high amount of money, and every year they're pulling in mad bank on these phones.
Well, speaking of Mad Bank, I think we should go bank somewhere else.
Like somewhere a far off land where we get to talk about video games.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to that land. Let's get a plane ticket. Do you have your passport?
I do. It says all it says on the front is games per minute. What does that mean,
And
Bo?
there's nothing cheesier than a gaming passport. All right, let's do this.
You're always talking about making kids' minds like vegetables. Talk about them out on the street smoking pot.
This is games per minute.
How do you feel about cutting his head off? One.
All right, this is games per minute, the section where we talk about the games we've been playing. But before we do that, we make an awkward segue into it, as you just witnessed.
Yes, awkward segues.
Awkward segue. That was my high school garbage cover band. All right, so Crofton, have you been playing video games this past week?
I actually have been, but it's funny because I'm almost in like a dry spell where I mentioned earlier I got to switch games. I'm still playing Batman Arkham Knight, and it feels like
I thought you could put the bow on that last week.
Now, if you recall, last week I mentioned I had completed about half the riddles in the game. I have literally all week just been doing riddles in Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh, God. So you don't have the time to invest in playing Witcher 3, yet you're doing riddles in Arkham Knight. Why?
Okay, now, at first I thought I was crazy. Then I started thinking like I was experiencing Stockholm Syndrome or something, where like I was being tortured and then I was beginning to like it.
Okay.
But really, it's what I realized had happened is that I finished Batman Arkham Knight, like the main story and all that sort of stuff, ages ago. And now I'm playing a completely different game. Like I'm playing a puzzle game, essentially. I'm going around. It's multi-tiered. I got to find the puzzles, and then I've got to solve the puzzles. And then there's like, there's all sorts of like, you've got to grab informants to tell you where more puzzles are and all that sort of stuff. But if you think about it as an entirely different game, it I don't play many puzzle games, and I really actually quite enjoy them. I think Portal 2 may have been the last dedicated puzzle game I played. So, I started playing these, and I was like, I'm not going to solve all these riddles. Really, I'm just doing this until I think of another game to play, or I'm get enough energy to get off the couch and hit the eject button on my PS4 and put in The Witcher. But I have been getting in, and now as the number keeps going down and all this, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to do all these riddles. I'm like, and there's more riddles in this game than in any of the previous ones, and the puzzles are more elaborate and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish. Now I'm down to the last of like 470 riddles or something. I'm down to the last 20.
Good Lord. You've done 450 riddles?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
Like,
I know.
Remember, we did a segment on behavioral science.
I know. You could...
It feels like this is like a thing you've made up that you have to get done in life, but you don't really. Like, you guys are doing groceries, and you're like, you know what, Jess, can you finish them up? I got to go home and, like, do 10 of these riddles. Like, it's important.
I know.
How are you doing this? Like...
I don't know. There's probably some sort of psychological conditioning here with Batman Arkham Knight or whatever. There is a boss fight that I will get if I do all the riddles.
Oh, there's the carrot. There's the carrot.
And there's a true ending, if you will. And the Riddler keeps making these snide remarks, and one of them talks about how doesn't seeing all these Riddler trophies all around town affect your OCD, Batman? It's so messy. Don't you want to just clean it all up? And I'm like, yes, I want to clean it all up. So even though I'm not OCD, it brings up
yeah, you're not OCD. Nope.
No,
I'm not OCD. The character I'm playing has OCD.
Yeah, Batman's OCD. I have to play him as he is.
Right. Well done.
So anyway, I've just I'm almost done. Like, literally, had we had, maybe after the show, I'll bang out those last 20 riddles. Next week, for sure, I'll have something different to talk about. But this week, it was still
Next week,
Batman.
you'll be talking about those last 20 riddles. I think
one
of those riddles is going to be impossible. You're gonna one of those remaining 20 riddles is going to be hard as... And you're gonna be like, oh, I can't play anything else to like get the true ending. Oh man,
I will say
sounds healthy.
One other thing about Arkham Knight: the previous Batman games had these challenge maps, Predator and Combat challenge maps, and I love those challenge maps. But in this new game, they have these virtual reality sort of like things, and they're okay. A lot of them are Batmobile related, but they don't have nearly the amount of challenge maps that they had in those previous games. And so I paid $1.99 for one piece of DLC, which was just like I think 6 challenge maps, and I was all like, oh, hemming and hawing about paying the $1.99, and I paid it, and I don't regret it. I've had a lot of fun with the 6 things. And I realized that, like, in the old days when we would go into arcades, you would put $1 or 50 cents or whatever in a machine. You wouldn't think twice about it. But here we hem and haw about like $1.99 DLC. Like, and that's the era that we live in now. I'm trying to be less cheap with this stuff because it wasn't a ton of content, but I got $2 out of it, like.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more just a case of it's the time management thing. Like, are you going to play it? As someone who's spent countless dollars on DLC that I've never played, I'm starting to learn to just chill the F out when it comes to DLC and be like, all right, it looks cool and I like this game, but am I going to play it? And will Steam have it in its store forever? The answer is no and yes to those questions. So it's taken me a while to learn that. But, so I hope you get those 20 riddles done, and then you can move on with your gaming life and get back to like The Witcher or play Metal Gear Solid 5 or play a game of Heroes with me. Yeah.
As soon as I get my new computer, I'm committed to playing a game of Heroes with you, Bo.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Playing Heroes this past week in preparation for your big show?
Yeah. Well, now that like I am like a source of knowledge on the subject of Heroes of the Storm, I'm like I have like this unwritten, or what is it, unspoken contract? What's that kind of a contract?
Unwritten contract.
Sure. I have a But it's like a contract with the public. There's another term I'm looking for. I can't think of.
It doesn't matter. Just tell us, goddammit.
That I have to play. Sorry, I have to play Heroes of the Storm because I tell people like what's up in that game. So now I feel a responsibility to play a game.
What was funny was when I was listening to the first episode of Core, and I heard you and Scott Johnson talking. I recognized that you knew so much about Heroes of the Storm. When he asked you a question, you would just be like, bam, bam, bam. And you know when somebody knows a lot about something, because they'll often drop fluff filler words, stuff like and or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You were just really locked in. So I knew you knew a lot about Heroes.
I am like a big Heroes of the Storm nerd. I am a gigantic nerd when it comes to Heroes of the Storm. So I feel really at home doing the thing. There was never a point in that show where I was like, what am I going to say? Which is like, half of how this show goes. So like TwitchCon, it's a news item. We didn't watch it, but I don't know. So I played but I've been playing a lot of Heroes, specifically Hero League. So I'm trying to also increase my rank because, I feel like out of the trio, I'm the more my deal on that one is that I'm more of the tryhard than the other two, I think.
Right.
Because I play a lot, and I play a lot on the ladder, and it isn't meant as any sort of thing on them or whatever. But well, Scott's like, Bo, he advertises it for me. He's like, Gorath, when you play with this guy, you win games, and the other teams lose. And I'm like, man, maybe that's when someone bigs up your reputation, and then like Barack Obama wants to play you, and you lose the game, and Barack was like, Scott Johnson said, Heroes. I'm really disappointed to hear that Scott Johnson was wrong about you.
Go to war with Russia or play Heroes of the Storm against Gorath. Oh, they're both losing propositions.
So I've been playing a lot of that game, and if you want my thoughts on it, go there to that show. And I haven't had a chance, as a result, I haven't had a chance to play any other games except a bit of Rocket League. And I downloaded and installed some stuff, but who wants to hear about that?
Well, you know what? I want to hear more about this, Bo, in a segment that we have in the show that allows us to dialogue back and forth. If only we had such a segment.
Do we? Oh, I believe we do. Now there's one fine dialogue tree.
So the dialogue tree this week, I wrote, again, one of these topics that went into my brain and I couldn't put proper terms on it. So I'm going to try and vocalize it here.
Sure thing.
I want to talk about two different types of games. It's really easy to stick stuff into buckets, but one is the one and done type of games. And these are the type of games that I compare to watching a movie, reading a book. It's over. When you finish a book, you don't immediately start that book over. At least most non-OCD people do. Probably Batman would, but most people don't. But there's some games that are ongoing. Often, I didn't want to limit it to, say, multiplayer games. Most multiplayer games, like a game like Rocket League, Bo mentioned, you play 5-minute rounds. You can do that forever. There's no end. You're not going to see the credits, whatever. But there are other games in the one and done that are multiplayer, like Gears of War as a co-op campaign, but that's a one and done game. You can play it again, of course, but it's mostly you're experiencing a story. Then there's ongoing games, and Bo, I see you playing a lot of these, like Diablo. Diablo has a story, but they encourage you really heavily to play it through multiple times. Heroes of the Storm, all Dotas, Rocket League, these are competitive games, like online games that are encouraging you to go back and go back. Even games where you chase the leaderboards. And there's one on PS4 I've been playing recently, Resogun. It's big on leaderboard scores. So which is your preferred version of these two games, and why? Tell me a little bit about what you look for in a game.
Based on gameplay, definitely it's the ongoing... Like I like to refer to World of Warcraft. Like if you're a gamer who enjoys World of Warcraft, I like to refer to it almost as like a lifestyle choice, which seems like weird to someone not acquainted with it. You know, to say that a game is a lifestyle choice, but a game can be a lifestyle choice if it's something that you do every day, that your life revolves around it to some extent. So, as an example, I do the Core podcast for Heroes of the Storm. So, Heroes of the Storm is more than just a game for me; it's a lifestyle choice. And so I think when people are looking for ongoing games, there's something about that game that resonates with them on a deep level and that they're heavily invested into it. And I think there's certain types of players who look for those games where it's a lifestyle choice for them, that it rewards their investment versus a one and done experience. So the thing about you, Crofton, is you're always like, I don't know what, you always have to plan what games you're going to play next. And for me, I'm always like, which of the games in my constellation am I interested in playing that has my attention? So I definitely think it is a good paradigm to set up a game as like, this is a one and done game versus this is an ongoing experience. I would definitely say Diablo is one of those. Destiny, that's big in the headlines right now. The Taken King came out. My Twitter feed's blowing up with people being like, whoa, they revamped the loot system and everything's like way better. Like, go back now and play Destiny, the game. It's like what Loot 2.0 did for Diablo. And that's a game I think that rewards replaying, just like Warframe does, which is a game I get into every now and then. Yeah, what do you think about that?
Okay, but what about, like, Blizzard is sort of a master, I think, of towing the line between the two in many ways. What about StarCraft 2? When you play StarCraft 2, you've spoken extremely highly of it in the past. Do you think about it as a one and done game where you play the campaign through, then you complete the campaign, maybe you'll go back to it some other time, play the campaign again or whatever? Yeah. Or do you consider it as more of like the ongoing game?
StarCraft 2 for me is a one and done game because I go in, I play the campaign. I haven't really gotten into the custom games that has a really robust like custom game community, as you know. So without those things to keep pulling me back in and keep me playing, StarCraft is very much like I really enjoyed the campaign experience. I played it through multiple times. I played like when Wings of Liberty came out, I played it on hard, and then I played it on brutal. Brutal is challenging as hell. And so that took a while, but like it was worth doing. But is it a lifestyle choice? No. Diablo, but for some people, so if you're someone who's into the esports scene and plays it competitively, you probably log in and play a couple hours a day, 8 hours a day, every day, or 5 days a week. Like that is you are progressing because that is a game you're invested in on a different level.
And that's what I mean about Blizzard. How, like, because for instance, I've enjoyed playing Diablo 3. I've played Diablo 3. I don't even think I've finished the campaign once. And there's lots of games I don't finish or whatever. But I've enjoyed it the time that I have played it. And I think that you have guys like me, and then you have guys like you who play through the campaign multiple times, who do the adventure mode, who do all these things, level up multiple characters. It becomes more like of a lifestyle in that. And I could see the appeal of that because, like, right now, as we know, I'm hammering down all the riddles in Batman Arkham Knight. But when those riddles are gone, I'll be able to play it New Game Plus maybe if I really wanted to, but I'm probably not going to do that. But I'm probably also not done with Batman. Like, I'm still playing it for a reason. I'd like it to be even longer than it is. So I can see the appeal of having endless content. Like, endless content will keep you sort of trapped in that ecosystem forever. But I feel like no matter how high the quality of the content, I end up getting bored. Like, I love Rocket League. And right now I'm not playing it due to circumstance, and it hits all my endorphins and stuff. But at one point I'm gonna lose interest in Rocket League. Witcher 3, Skyrim, these are great games, tons of content. I love both of them, but I haven't finished either of them because they're just so long and they're so content filled. So I feel like in the end I'm looking personally for a game that not a game I check off the list, but a game that is long enough that I just didn't learn the game mechanics and then have to quit, but not one that's so long that I get tired of it. I want to leave the game with fond memories, right? I just find that the longer I play it, the less likely I'm gonna focus on stuff that frustrates me over time, right?
Yeah, I think it's a question of reward. So like one and done, the reward that's posed is like the spectacle and the narrative through line. Like how enjoyable is that, in Dead Space I always want to get to the next thing. I want to find out what's going on with the stupid monoliths or whatever they're called. So for me, like I take breaks from the usual games I like to play like one and done style games, even like StarCraft, to enjoy that narrative, that spectacle, the cool like cinematics that are in games and stuff like that. But the games that I like Rocket League's an example of this, as well as, for me, Heroes, and PlanetSide 2 is another example of this, of like, it's more about mastering the game and being better than other people and beating myself. Like saying like, this week I was this good and next week I learned to do things better. Like I sort of do this feedback loop, and it's kind of like what people do at jobs, which is like, how well did you answer client contacts this week? Well, can you answer 2 more in a day? So let's try improving efficiency. I find my brain approaches games that way, where I'm like, even in Diablo, how can I more efficiently clear rifts? How can I get better gear? How can I become a better player? And I would say Blizzard in particular that's one of their mission statements, is easy to learn, difficult to master. So their games are engineered for someone like me in mind as a core value of its games. Where, if you're making Uncharted, I don't think that's the core value. The core value for an Uncharted game is, we want to tell an epic story and we want to have an immersive experience. They definitely want it to be, easy to learn. I don't know if that's a kind of game that's hard to master, that they've spent a lot of time saying these mechanics are so in depth that people will play this for years,
Yeah.
And it's okay. They both can be their own thing. Yeah.
And it's funny though, the Uncharted example, because you're absolutely right. But Uncharted games have had multiplayer components, and I found myself drawn to them quite a bit. But I wonder, like, if you play a lot of like online shooter multiplayers and stuff, if you'd be like, oh, this one isn't perfectly balanced. I feel that there's a lot of these games that are clearly heavy into one camp and then stick their foot like lightly into the other. Often it's multiplayer, single player, but sometimes, like, very rarely is it perfected. Like, I would point to Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3 as games that have managed to, like, yes, you have this epic campaign, you could play it through, you could change aspects of it, difficulty, and then meanwhile you have like things like horde mode or beast mode or all these things that might have you coming back night after night, online multiplayer and all that as well. So there are games that balance those two things, and I do like having an option between both. But what I realized is I've never had, maybe PlanetSide is the closest. PlanetSide 1, and to a lesser extent PlanetSide 2, is the closest I've had to like a lifestyle game, a game that I'm just coming back to over and over and over again over a year, past a year. Like even Hearthstone, I was really into that, but for like a couple of months, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I don't care. New cards, I don't really care. All that sort of stuff. I played this game. I know what this game is. I've had my fun. I'm out now, because I just get tired of it at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ready for something new.
Yeah, I think Hearthstone's a great example in this conversation, because that's clearly not a one and done game. Like, no. It's meant to be there when you want to play it. Like, so whether it's just going to be on the toilet or it's going to be 8 hours a day, and that spectrum is broad. But I'm someone who's played for long periods of time, really enjoy the game, and with Heroes of the Storm releasing, my time has shifted dramatically away from that game. I like the action gaming over the, Hearthstone's very slow,
it's slow and methodical, but that opens it up to a lot of people.
But the point is, like, even for someone who's a Blizzard fanboy like I am, I don't have time to do all of it. I don't have time to be amazing or master the game in depth. You have people have very limited bandwidth, and so that's sort of the downside to being like an ongoing gamer. Like Raiders and Warcraft, or any MMO for that matter, it's the same thing. They set aside evenings, like 3 or 4 times a week even, to do the same content over and over again, to get better gear, to be more efficient. and doing it over and over again, and just that's the challenge. They like the progression gaming, which is just, oh, I got an incremental upgrade because I spent 5 hours a week doing this thing with my friends, and that's worth it to me. But yeah, I think they're both important. I think you need a balance everyone needs a balance of both types of games in their life.
But it does sort of feel that way, and honestly, one of the reasons I'm interested in trying Heroes of the Storm is because I'm never been a huge Blizzard fan, so I'm not sure I'm gonna just jump right into it. But I would like an ongoing game. I've been enjoying Rocket League as sort of something that can fit in between my, book length games. But I do. It sounds like cheesy, but I like both. And I would like them to coexist, but I realize I lean heavily on one side, which is the one and done
like a type of ongoing game that you might actually play. And we don't talk a lot about it now because Jeff is no longer doing the show with us, but it's sports games like NHL. You haven't really talked about it that much, but I know, is NHL still in your gaming roster? Like, do you still?
It's funny that you mentioned that. That is a really good point. Like the new NHL came out last week, and everybody at work's talking about it, and a lot of people have bought it and that sort of thing. And last year they stripped out all the features, and this year they added them back. But you're right, it is like an RPG. It is like everybody is buying it at the same time. And it used to be you'd buy it at the same time because you wanted the new rosters. But now they update the rosters throughout the year with patches and stuff. So really, why are you buying it day one? You're buying it day one to get onto the online league and not lose a step, because the league goes for a year, and until a new game comes out, and then it's replaced by the next year's league, right? So everybody wants in and wants to create their team and get online.
So they've turned it into a membership. It just doesn't look. It doesn't look like a membership. It looks like you bought a game every year, but you're buying membership now.
But part of it is like they're all talking about it. I sort of want to be part of the club sometimes. I think about like, oh yeah, but I have a tradition of playing that game with my brother in my living room, and just like going online and getting schooled by 13-year-olds that have a ton of time and could tell me how. Maybe that'll change.
I lost you, Crofton. I don't know. Can you hear me? All right, we're just going to pause the recording. I think we lost Mr. Crofton Steers. Are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It just seems we lost you there for a quick sec. So we're gonna have to pick up where you left off. If you want to listen?
What was I talking about?
I don't know, because hang on. Let's just...
I have a tradition of playing that game with my brother in my living room, and just like going online and getting schooled by 13-year-olds that have a ton of time and could tell me how.
That's where it ends.
Oh, can I do the tradition thing over?
Yeah. Ready?
Okay. Yeah. I have a tradition playing that game in my living room with my brother, and like multiplayer on the couch, and going online and getting schooled by like 13-year-olds that have tons of time on their hands. Doesn't sound appealing, but I'm sure it's deeper than that. There's probably ways to filter that stuff out. Right now I'm looking to Heroes to fill the gap, but I think a healthy gaming diet involves both these tastes.
Yeah.
And I would like to have an ongoing game.
Yeah. So, well, it's like searching for a lover. You're looking for that ongoing game that's really going to be there when you need it. You're going to enjoy very much. And I think you made a good point about the NHL thing. Just part of the thing about ongoing games is feeling like you have a community. Specifically recently with Diablo, I've been able to add a lot of great people to my friends list in battle.net, through doing work on the Heroes of the Pants tournament. And so there's often people to play with now. And that sort of fed into my playing of Heroes, and my playing of Diablo is other people. And so ongoing games tend to reward playing with other people more so than the one and done. One and done games are less about the single player factor. All right. We lost Crofton again. So we're just gonna hold on to a quick second. Hello.
Hello?
Hey, there you are. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Bo?
Can you? What the hell? Can't you hear me? Dude, I'm talking to ya.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, now you can hear me. Hello,
So-
hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I just what happened here is that my iPhone died of battery death. It had like 50% and now has 0.
Oh.
And so then now I'm back on my internet, so it was cutting again when you were talking, so I had to switch back to the iPhone. And anyway, I guess I'll get a charger.
Yeah, can you plug it in and
Yeah.
continue on?
Be right
Alright.
back.
Yep. So while we wait, what should we talk about? I don't know. Well, we could play a song, but then we could run into get some of that audio cut, and that kind of sucks. But I guess it's good for copyright holders, so I don't know. Whole thing's bigger than me, man. I can't fathom how my opinion could even matter in all of this. But it does. It does. I can't let the man hold me down. I can't let the man hold you down either.
Gonna have to call Rogers tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. You know what? Call Rogers and tell them, listen, guys, I'm sick of this crap. You're on your last chances.
I will tell them that.
And tell them Gorath says they need to get their act together. When they hear,
I wonder, am I cutting out right now?
Yeah, well, you were. You haven't been talking long enough for me to tell.
Okay. I'm going to it's just because I gotta wait for the stupid phone to come back to life because it's dead right now.
Yeah, no pressure. Don't feel rushed or anything. I was like trying to fill the air while you were gone. I was just saying dumb stuff. It made no sense.
My throat.
Because like I can't. I have the recording paused right now, so you know it's not like I won't have a lot of work to edit it. But the live stream, it's all unfiltered, uncut. This goes up on YouTube as is.
Like my penis.
It's unfiltered. I wonder what a filtered penis looks like.
That's
like
right.
Using sepia filter. It's like all brown and black. I guess there's nothing wrong with yeah, sepia. What did I say? Sepia? Sepia.
Sepia is like
I use a sepia filter on pictures of my penis.
I filmed this movie in college for film production class with Blake McMillan, and we did it in sepia, to make it seem artsy. It made it seem artsy.
Yeah, it does. It has that, you know, sepia has that artsy feel. Also used for the introduction of Trailer Park Boys. Hey, do you know those guys are doing a podcast now? It's pretty funny because it's terrible, but that's what makes it good. It's filled that spot in my roster where Norm Macdonald kind of fell off making podcasts. Because Norm Macdonald also he's like, "What are we doing? It's a podcast? Okay, this is stupid, but whatever."
I'll be right back. I'm gonna turn the thing on.
Okay. Yeah, so that's right. There's a Trailer Park Boys podcast, and the guys are in character. I mean, they're in character all the time. It's hard to know if that's just who they are, and they just put the camera on. But they seem savvy enough that it's not their character at all. Especially the latest episode, they had the Mighty Boosh guys on. It just seems like if they were as ignorant as the characters in the TV show, they would be having guests from people that were nothing like the kind of guests and associations they actually have. Yeah. That being said, I am sad that the Norm Macdonald podcast no longer runs. It was a very inappropriate, very funny podcast, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But alas, it seems they have pod faded. You know, these things happen. How much more time can I fill while we wait for Crofton to return? I'm singing on the live stream all alone. I shouldn't be alone on a live stream with no content, 'cause it's gonna get very boring. Alright, now I'm boring myself too. May just have to live stream a game of Hearthstone. May just have to do that. Oh, I hear someone coming back. Hello, are you back?
Still charging.
Oh, it's still... Oh, you really have to wait.
What?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Like, it doesn't turn on right away. The moment you plug it in, you can't turn it on?
No, it's one of those things.
Well, I've got an iPhone 5S. I thought
It's like
maybe...
it's still dead. It's like...
Oh. You got to give it like a few minutes before it's going to...
Yeah, and also it's on a dock, which I think is not as fast charging as the plug, but the plug's up in Jessie's room where she's sleeping, so... it's all, you know, complications. Yeah. It's funny how many tech problems we've had with this show. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but you know what? It's all Roger's fault. I'm after a couple years of having conversations about your internet, I'm prepared to say that you know Rogers can go take a flying leap off a short pier, a long walk off a short pier.
I think you're right.
I think
dude. It's because I have a pretty good deal. I think.
It'd be, you know, what'd be really great is if you could somehow get a free trial of Bell, and that, because I know you're like you have more than just this service with Rogers, so that like there's value there to you.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. Like Rogers doesn't bundle anymore. I could totally cut and jump to Bell. It's only because I got a good deal a few years ago that they keep extending that I'm tempted to, you know, to stay. But if it's not working properly, then fuck it. I'll go to Bell.
Yeah, or you know, I say Bell because like it's more expensive, but it's really easy. Like it's all plug and play. You know, like tech savvy, you gotta like buy the modem and I don't know, do some stuff. But you might find some cheaper alternatives that use the exact same infrastructure. So yeah. That being said, you could get tech savvy for cable too. Like they just resell whatever's there. I think it'd be nice if you could just try it. Like if they could just turn it on for a week and you could give it a go and then be like, yeah, it's good. I like it. I'll buy it, you know? But I think there's startup costs associated with it, right? Like that's also sort of impactful. But yeah. And then now Bell, they're going to be calling you and trying to sell you the TV and all that.
Holy shit, this is taking forever.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Can you use Jesse's phone or?
Nope. Yeah, it's too bad. Too bad.
That hotspot stuff really takes a lot of juice.
Fuck, I had no idea, man. I was like, oh, I got 54%. I'll be good or whatever.
Yeah, I know. When I turn I've had that exact same experience, and then you turn it on and it's like done in like 30 minutes, and you're like, what the hell? Like, it actually just drains a lot of power. Although I heard that the new iOS uses less battery life overall, though. That was a big.
Oh, really? Then I would pick that up, man, because honestly, my battery, that's the only thing that I have against my iPhone 5 is I find the battery is super shit.
Yeah, I don't have a direct article or anything to reference, but the word around the water cooler has been that that's a main feature of that iOS 9 update that people like.
Have you updated it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm not working right now, so it's not like I'm out of the house for long periods of time, but I don't have to charge it very often, it feels like. I will say, like, if the screen is very, like, even high brightness, the battery does tend to drain, but when it's on really low brightness, it's like pretty good. So
yeah, no, I've been trying to even lower my brightness. That's how desperate I've been. But like, I think I'm gonna just buy cables and stick them everywhere. Like, you can buy cheap charger cables now. So like, I just like I'll have one at work, have one at home, and that way I can just always keep it plugged in, because I just find I get frustrated because it's always dead. My phone is always dead. I'm like, oh fuck, you know. Let's oh man, Bo, I think I'm fading. Is there any way we could record the end on like after GBB or even tomorrow?
We probably could set aside some time tomorrow to do it. I mean, you know, if you don't mind missing this week, then
To
we
do
could do
the,
the show, but or we could just wrap it up early. We're pretty much done the dialogue tree. Hello?
Yeah.
I mean,
We're done the dialogue tree. We just got to seg into the next part, but like
you can't make it very long without cutting. That's the issue. I was thinking, like, let's just do the master game, and I can just wrap up the show real quick. You know, I can just say we had technical issues.
Like, I have. Do you have anything tomorrow evening? Like, I have Ultimate, but it's early, and then I can come home, and then like around like 8:30 or 9, we can do it.
We were talking about doing some viewer games for Core tomorrow night.
Okay.
So, but nothing's concrete. I just said that was my only free night because I've got the radio interview Wednesday and Thursday. I can't remember what I have, but I have. Oh, we do GBB. So maybe we could do after GBB. But
yeah, even if we did it maybe after GBB, but I can be on call for you tomorrow if you have a free moment between your between Core.
Yeah, I kind of don't. I'm kind of not a fan of leaving it. I say we've got most of the show in there. I can just wrap up the show and we can just say there's technical issues and wrap it up at that.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to try doing that, let me just see if the phone is charged. If I could just get the hotspot back, we could at least wrap it up nicely. One sec. Yeah.
The rigors of technology. We're having problems.
I got the hotspot back. Let's just see if we can get fuck. Oh, where is it here? It's not on my list. What's the range of those things?
I don't know. That shouldn't be too bad. I have no idea. I mean, anytime I've used it, it's been close. So
yeah, it's just around the corner. Okay, Bo.
Yep.
All right, I'm back on Crofton's iPhone.
All right, let's get her going.
Okay, so let's just. Do you want to just move on to the next bit here?
Yeah, well, we can each put a concluding thought on just I'd say make a concluding statement on the dialogue tree and then go.
Sure.
We're at 56 minutes in. Do you still want to do inventory management?
No, we'll pass on it just because I'm fading and I actually want to say stuff about Gabriel Knight.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Getting going.
Do you mind?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, so in the end, I do think for me, there's room for both of those types of games in my life. I just find that, as I said, I've really heavily stacked to one side, so I need to find something to fit on the other side. But I think all the merrier. The more the merrier.
All the merrier.
I don't
the
even
more
know.
the merrier.
All the. Just
all
try
the more
both,
merrier.
baby. Yeah, I think if you're into games, it's good to have a little bit of both. Like you can play those novel-sized games and then have in between them, you get back into your ongoing games as well to fill the gaps and because you like them and because you're part of a community, as you said.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think they're both types of games are good, and I think when games try to be the other thing and not the thing, like when games try to fulfill too many fantasies, then that's when that game sort of has problems. I think
yeah,
they need.
I
to
think
have a
BioShock 2 is a good example of that. They threw multiplayer into BioShock or whatever, just didn't make sense.
It's just not what people come to BioShock for. Unfortunately,
Right.
People are like that, where they can't be like, oh my god, we don't need to play any other game in the universe. This one game meets all of my needs. Wow, company, you are so genius for making the game.
Yeah.
I think that's the fantasy a lot of game companies may have, and I think it's diluted. It doesn't work. Nobody wants that. We want diversity, folks. All right. So that wraps up the dialogue tree. And, typically at this point we do an inventory management, but we're running a little long, and we have some great recommendations, but we like to give them the due they deserve. So we're not going to do an inventory management this week. And if you don't like that that's the case, write into us and tell us, dudes, why you slacking on inventory management? And Crofton, where can they write that nasty letter to us?
Oh, well, they can totally use our email address, and we have an email address. It's exmpodcast@gmail.com. Any sort of comments, questions you got, if you want to talk about a game, you want to talk about a dialogue tree topic, that's the place. You can follow us on Twitter @EXMPodcast. You can find all our archived episodes as well as any sort of information you need with regards to the podcast at exmpodcast.com. We have a Facebook page as well, facebook.com/exmpodcast. Give us our likes, and then you'll get a nice little update whenever we have a new episode. Same as on Twitter. If you follow us, you'll get notified when we have new episodes, and you'll get our clever tweets as well. Also, Monday nights, generally, we do a live stream on Twitch, and that's twitch.tv/EXMpodcast. And if you like this show, we have a sister podcast, a Good, Bad, or Bullshit show. goodbadbull.com for all the details on that. We review a random topic every week. Not video game related, but still awesome. And then, of course, you can follow us, including celebrity podcaster Bo Schwartz. Bo, where can they follow you?
Yeah, you can find me at Bo Schwartz on Twitter. And then you can find out all the great things that I'm up to, including Core and including the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast, as well as the podcasting course I'm teaching on Saturday. So
Also,
all that and more on Twitter.
He will do autographs, and then you got to send in a photo. He'll sign it, and then he'll send it back to you. You got to pay postage, though.
But it's a unique privilege, so do it. I'll totally sign it. Send in a picture of anyone. I'll just sign my name on it, too. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, you can follow me at Crofton Steers on the Twitter as well.
You should do it.
Yeah, I've hitched my carriage to my prize pony in Bo Schwartz. But, one day I might be signing portraits as well over the internet. like Wayne Gretzky. All right, so this week's Master Game Theater quote is coming up next, following this great little musical ditty that musical maestro Bo Schwartz has put together.
It's now time for Master Game Theater.
Right on. So this one is the first time. Now I don't want to point to games as being like not very female friendly, but there aren't that many. Up until recently, there haven't been that many strong female characters in video games. One company that had a ton of strong female characters was the Sierra Game Company. Made these adventure games back in the day. So I've chosen a quote from one of their games, one of my personal favorites, Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. So in this one of us, this is the first time either Bo or I will have to play a lady. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bo. I don't think we've ever done a lady.
No, we
before.
haven't done any gender bending as yet on the show. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I don't want to assume that I'm being cast as the female character. I'll leave that decision to you, since you're the Gabriel Knight aficionado, and I know you want this done right.
The thing is the one line, I'm looking at these three lines, and the one that's most based on knowing how it's delivered is the Gabriel Knight line. So I feel like maybe I should do that one, and you should be Grace Nakamura, his assistant. Now, even though her name is Grace Nakamura, and she is of Asian heritage, Bo, I would tell you she does not have an Asian accent.
Oh, I hate on Mongolians. Are you shitty beef? you call her shitty restaurant?
She's just an American college student working for Gabriel at his bookstore.
I've been watching South Park, and as you know, the Chinese food store owner, it's very racist.
You're racist.
You order a shitty beef, and then you get sick. What do you expect? You order a shitty beef. All right.
Not like that. Grace Nakamura, strong, proud student working for Gabriel Knight at St. George's Books, his bookstore. All right. That is setting. Are you okay in this female role, Bo?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Gender bending, not an issue for me.
Okay.
I can't say my performance is going to be great, but, I will try it.
So here we go. Closing off the show. Master Game Theater. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If you try to look down my shirt one more time, I'm leaving.
I'm just trying to refresh my memory.
I know what you're trying to refresh, and it isn't your memory. Get down.
Wait,
what's the get down?
His penis. Huh?
Oh, were you telling him to get down like he bad doggy?
No, he was climbing a ladder looking down her shirt.
Oh, right. Oh, then I would have said the get down with more of a get down from there. Get down.
Get down. Get down. It does. It works all the time. I know what you're trying to refresh.
I'm pretty happy. I feel like I didn't ham it too much to be like,
you did very well.
If you try to look down my shirt one more time, I'm leaving.
Gabriel Knight, Tim Curry, who did his voice, totally hams it up the whole time.
I'm Tim Curry. I mean Gabriel Knight.
He does this. He does like what is a New Orleans accent, but it's super like it's not great, but it's hilarious. Like it's really good. You get really attached to it.
I feel like I should watch a Let's Play or give it another go at some point.
The thing is, they remade it last year, and the remake, it's not Tim Curry, and the guy is probably more technically sound, but not as hilarious. Well,
another episode in the can. Pretty happy with that overall.
Yeah, sorry about that, Bo. Like, I was having all sorts of technical problems. My voice was giving out on me. I was just having a hard time. I was falling apart.
It's all right, because you know what happened today? John Cena followed us on Twitch. I don't know if you've been following the Twitch chat, but a user by the name of Mr. Pigmaster, when the pig is spelt with 4 G's.
His 3 G's were taken.
Mr. Pigmaster said to us today in chat, he said, "Hey guys, it's John Cena," in mostly all caps. And he says, "Guys, John Cena followed. Hashtag I'm John Cena."
It's John Cena. Dun, 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 dun.
So I'm like, okay, liar. I guess that's funny. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's mostly because
I was
why
at
do
the
you guys do that stuff? Anyway.
I was totally at the ground level of that meme, like that John Cena meme. I was like ground floor. I found that subreddit when there's like 2 users on it.
You were there first, man.
It feels good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Also want to say hello to Shaw Jupiter 81 for saying "What's up, bro," and that generally enjoying the podcast. Although not enough to stay around for the whole thing, dude. Why'd you leave? And Rip,
it could have been for due to our massive technical problems. He's like, God, is this guy gonna find his hotspot, for fuck's sake?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also Rip Asphalt for saying this is boring and they aren't reading our comments, but spelling our A-R-E. So it's O-U-R. That's how you spell our. I kind of like responding to all the people that chatted once the show's done, because they're like, I feel like I get to prove them wrong. And also, I have the superpower of, shitting on them if I don't like them.
That's true. You know why?
Why?
Because you're John Cena. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun.
Although the crowning achievement of today has to go to Mania __, who all caps us with LOL, you have no viewers, loser.
I like how only one of us is a loser.
I know. Well, because I think I'm the only one on camera right now. You don't have your webcam turned on.
Oh shit!
Which is fine. It was like the last little bit of the show after all those technical issues. I just, it's cool. And we started before I thought of thinking of telling you, and then I was like, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, save me some data. Speaking of which,
I love that somebody out there in the universe goes on Twitch, sees that somebody has no viewers, and isn't like, you can't just leave it alone. Like, they're like, oh, let me go into that stream and say something mean about the fact that nobody's watching them. Like, it's like, I have a mouth, so I should just say things. I can just say things. Just say things and be hurtful for no reason.
It's true.
It's horrible. It's horrible. You're a horrible person.
I wonder if you'll get like some big trolls on Core. Who knows? Maybe you will.
I guess so. I shouldn't provoke them, should I? But whatever. I don't care.
I don't think that you will.
I'll get doxxed, man. They'll put me up on 4chan and find out all my shit. I'm gonna get doxxed, dude. The SWAT team's gonna show up at my house looking for cocaine.
That's
because I insulted a 4-year-old for telling me I have no viewers.
Hey, did you talk to Al or your brother about next week or this week?
No. I know my brother's definitely out. He's like working 10,000 jobs, and he's in Carleton now.
In what?
He's like full-time school.
Oh, university, right? Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I can ping him. I just know that it's gonna be like he's gonna be out. Yeah, Al, I didn't so much. I should ask him. I wasn't clear on what was going on because I meant to respond back, but I didn't. It seemed like Friday was a bad night. It seemed like Andrea was leaning towards Saturday, to which I would say, like, I want to be there, but if I can't be there and everyone wants Saturday, then
no. It's gonna be Friday. I'm pretty sure it's Friday, and I think we're going to. We were talking about going. There's this Ottawa Geek Market. That's
Saturday and Sunday. I don't think it's happening on Friday.
Oh, is it not?
I thought I saw the link to it that it was Saturday, Sunday.
Oh fuck! See, you got onto that before I did. But no, we should just do Friday, and you should be there. But yeah, I guess like it's just because most nerd games are like 4 players, so. It's just Bo, you, me, and Mike, and we need a 4th.
It's a real nerd party. We feel like losers and all alone. All right, stream. Goodbye. I'm going to turn off the stream now. See you later.